my God, guys, I just finished watching AEW Grand Slam, and Saraya, aka formerly known as Paige, has just made her AEW debut. Oh my God. I did not expect that, guys. A little over just about 2 months ago, her contract with WWE had came to an end, and one of the things that she was trying to push to do was to wrestle again. And from the looks of it, it looks as though that may be exactly what she's doing, because we had the fatal four-way for the AEW Interim Championship. Toni Storm defended her AEW Women's Interim Championship against Britt Baker, Athena, and Serena D. And she managed to retain the belt, actually pinning. Uh, so she pinned Britt Baker with a crucifix pin. But afterwards, Britt just started attacking her, and then you had Jamie Hayter came out because they've been teasing the tension between them ever since All Out, when Britt Baker tried to pin her. But then it was a swerve, because turns out, of course, she wasn't going to actually turn on Britt just yet. So they double teamed on beating Toni Storm down, and they also helped Serena D beat beat them all down. And then it led to the debut of Saraya, formerly known as Paige. And wow, what a way for her to come. I mean, they beat up Toni Storm, they beat up Athena afterwards. But man, that was a and a really historic night. Not one, but two title changes. Chris Jericho defeats Claudio in the opening match for the ROH World Championship. It actually wins when the referee doesn't see it. He hits him with the low blow, and then he hits him with the Judas effects, and manages to beat Claudio. I didn't expect this either. So two very unexpected moments took place tonight, and a really stacked card. I mean, my goodness, I did not expect her to come here. Um, but at the same time, I'm sure there was speculation, and I know there have been talks about going to AEW, but man, this was a great way for her to come back. I know one thing she's been missing for the past several years now, ever since her last severe injury, when she had to retire at the beginning. I believe she announced it at the beginning of 2018, made the announcement like right after WrestleMania 34, so somewhere around that time. Because her last match was like in 2017 at a house show. And it's been 4 years since she's actually stepped foot in the ring because of her spinal stenosis, a really serious injury that we've seen people like Edge, who had the double neck fusion, triple neck fusion, managed to come back from. Austin had his last match at WrestleMania. So, after seeing all these people come back with severe neck injuries, Paige, Saraya, she had been trying to come back for quite some time. And there was time and time again where it seemed like it was going to happen, but they didn't want to risk it. They didn't want to let her come back. It was nice to see her come out. And it seems as though she could be on her way back in the ring, at least from the way it looks, from the way how she say them. So, a nice way to see her, regardless of whatever stuff happened, with her and all the stuff in the media, whatever, in the past couple of years. I've always liked her work. She was in WWE, she's former two-time uh, Divas champion. Actually, uh, you know, one of the first, I want to say, Grand Slams because she actually was the NXT Women's Champion as well, um, and she went on to win the Divas Championship, coming to the main roster on her debut, beating AJ Lee the night after WrestleMania 30. So the Raw to WrestleMania 30. So she definitely has a lot of history, and she led Team PCB when she came, at around 2014, which was essentially kind of how the Divas Women's Revolution thing started in WWE. Yeah, she definitely's had a career, and it was nice to see her. But I I want to come on here and talk about her and just, you know, talk about the show, man. I mean, I wasn't expecting Jericho to win. Of course, he didn't win clean. Interestingly enough, none of the title defenses were done cleanly. Everyone who won, Pac, cheated to defeat Orange Cassidy and retain the Mid-Atlantic Championship, which I knew by that point they weren't going to have 3 title changes, but you figured the Acclaim was going to beat Swerve and Our Glory, considering the reaction they got all out. And that's exactly what happened. The crowd went crazy. I mean, there were times in the match where it seemed like Swerve and Our Glory was going to retain, but in the end, it ended up being the Acclaim that won it, and it was the right call. These guys are 2 of the originals, and then in AEW, they're 2 of the 2 guys that been there from the beginning. They got super over with the crowd, with that stuff. But it was a huge thunderous reaction, when they won the belts. Give the assist to Billy Gunn when he got up in Swerve's face and hit him with the Famouser and threw him back in the ring. And that's how they managed to, hit their moves on him and pick up the victory. So big moment for them, big moment for Jericho, as everybody celebrated except Danny Garcia, who wasn't very pleased with the way that Jericho won, with fervor's intention of him eventually joining BCC, just by the looks of how unhappy he was with Jericho's win. And also, you saw how unhappy Jericho was when he celebrated with Bryan Danielson when he beat Willa Yuta to win the Pure Championship from him. So, nice little tease right there to fervor attention, which is why I think they put it on Jericho. I think they put it on Jericho, to further that story, and also it could definitely raise more eyes on Ring of Honor. Of course, with Tony running it, can put more eyes on them with Jericho as champ for sure. Claudio, it's crazy because he just won the belt at Death Before Dishonor back in July. It really doesn't feel like it because he's had several title defenses. It felt like he had the belt longer, but he really hasn't. He really didn't have it that long, and then he loses it here to Jericho. So definitely something interesting, and Jericho just adds on to his legacy of world titles up to this point. 8-time world champ, so that's definitely an accomplishment for sure. But yeah, I just wanted to come here and bring that up. Mainly the shocking debut of Saraya, who used to be known as Paige when she was in WWE. But yeah, this was quite the night. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Sign off, Raymaster Flights. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys. Oh wait, yeah, that's pretty much it. Pac managed to retain the Atlantic Championship. So 4 titles on the line, but of course, Grand Slam's not over yet. I do want to briefly mention about the main event. The main event was excellent between Moxley, Bryan Danielson. Uh, Moxley managed to. You figured it would happen, although I will say I've been much more in favor of seeing MJF versus Bryan Danielson at some point, only because we've seen him and Moxley. I believe it was at All Out 2020 they faced off. Because that was the match when Moxley finished her. I believe it was banned. MJF managed to get it banned, and then behind the referee's back, he used it, and that's how he retained the belt. But yeah, I think that was the story going into that match. MJF managed to get his finisher banned, or he couldn't use it, but then he managed to use it behind the referee's back or something. But yeah, we've seen that, and maybe that's the direction they're heading. Of course, I don't see them doing it right away. Bandit Moxley just won the belt again, and because he lost it only to win it back for a third time, I don't see him losing the belt again really quickly, considering what happened when he won a second reign, only to lose it literally a few days later at Chicago at All Out, and of course the chaos and stuff like that happened that I'm not going to get into. But yeah, I definitely just wanted to point out that two excellent matches between them two, and I figured Moxley was going to win it back yet again. Although I was kind of hoping Bryan Danielson would win it, so we could get a match between him and MJF, but maybe we'll still get that at some point. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Sign on right now. Flex like, comment, subscribe. You guys know. Peace.